What is going on, everybody? It is Jackson from JD Baseball Show. Welcome to the very first episode of the JD Baseball Show. And today I am joined by Mr. Jackson Shank. Jackson, how's your day going, man?
What's going on, brother? Happy to be here.
Hey, I appreciate it. Now, I do want to ask you before we hop into, the topics we're going to get into today. I want to ask you, I know you're a big Kansas City Royals fan, and I
Yeah.
want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the current state of the Royals considering they're hovering around the 500 mark?
You know, it's probably the most bipolar franchise that you can
Yeah.
watch in baseball because when they hit, they're very, very good. And when
Yeah.
they don't hit, they are an atrocity to watch. But I love the fact that we're young. I love the fact that our pitching is more experienced and we got a lot more veterans. I'm still waiting on Cole Reagans to return. So once I think post All-Star break, that time off is going to help us a lot.
Yep.
But right now, the AL Central, at least the second spot in the AL Central, is anybody's game between the Twins, the Royals, and the Guardians, but nobody's chasing Detroit. So right now, Kansas City's got to focus on getting a wild card spot after the second weekend of July.
Yeah, I was talking to some of the guys on Dinger Dudes, and we had a recent episode talking about 500 teams that we believe could make a playoff push. My team was the Kansas City Royals. The only problem is when Cole Reagan's on the mound, he's not having the same production that he
Yeah,
had last season. But a guy I'm really surprised with is Chris Bubic. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Bubich, yeah, Chris Bubich.
Bubich. Bubich.
Yes.
I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of Chris Bubich, and you got him, you got Seth Lugo. I mean, he has a 4-6 record as of right now.
Yeah.
But his ERA is still lower than average. I feel like it's just because he's not getting the same run support he had in the past with last year towards the second half. But I really like this Royals team. I feel like if Cole Reagans can come back strong enough and have that same like second half of the 2024 season that he had in heading into the second half of 2025, I feel
Yeah.
like the Royals are going to be fine. I feel
I
like the
really
Royals.
hope so. I really hope so because the big thing with this team too is I just talk about hitting as a
Yeah.
whole. We were second in the American League last year in average with runners in scoring position, which means we were knocking people in when we had them on. This
Yep.
year we ranked, I'm pretty sure it's around the 30 mark across the league. So that's another big step in the right direction that comes with a lot of young players. You bring up Caglione and
Mhm.
he's working his way through just becoming a big leaguer. But I don't know. I'm still hoping for a Michael Garcia All-Star bid. I think he deserves it more than Bregman in the American League, but not a lot of people know about him. He's hitting close to the 320 mark. He leads all third basemen across the MLB in extra base hits. So I don't know, man. You got him being outshined by, the fact that we have bigger names on the team like Sal Perez and Bobby Witt Jr., but he's a guy that I'd like to see be playing in Atlanta here in a couple weeks.
I love Michael Garcia. I mean, he's a double merchant. I have him on my fantasy baseball team.
Great choice.
Me and all the guys at Dinger Dudes do fantasy baseball like
Yep.
religiously. And
Yeah.
Michael Garcia, I got him in a trade for. I sent over Mike Yastrzemski when he was hot earlier in the season. Him
Yep.
and Shane Smith for Michael Garcia, and it's worked out
Wow.
phenomenal for me.
Yeah, I was gonna
If
say
you ever
they're
text
doing great.
if you ever text one of the twins, I believe it was Chase, you got to give him some crap for that. But I never get the opportunity to talk about my St. Louis Cardinals on Dinger Dude, so I want
Wow.
to give a little props to another Missouri team. They're doing much better than I thought they were going to. Um, they're currently about to sweep the Cubs, in my opinion. I got most of my family is Chicago Cubs fans, so that's it's kind of bitter in my soul. Having to do family reunions with them, they're gonna give me some crap about the Cardinals not making the playoffs over the past couple seasons, but it is
Yep.
what it is. But I like Brendan Donovan. Brendan Donovan and Michael Garcia are like very similar type players, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I did want to ask you, as a Royals fan, the All-Star break is coming up, trade deadline season, trade acquisitions. Who do you think the Royals need to go for this All-Star break?
Well, I mean, they'll never go for it, but the biggest name that they need to sign in free agency is Kyle Tucker.
Hmm.
The team needs outfield. It's
Yeah.
pretty obvious. They need outfields and they need big bats.
Hmm.
The bullpen's able to hold it together for long enough. It hasn't been over the moon. I haven't been like super excited about it, but Carlos
Yeah.
Esteves has been one of the best closers in baseball. Lucas Erceg has been really solid as well. But I think our starting pitching needs to get healthy, and I'd like to add an outfield bat. And even if it's a rental with Kyle Tucker, where you just trade for him for the year, he gives you, you're looking at a player with 40 plus home run potential
Yep.
and a guy who's not only been to a World Series, but won a World Series as well. So I'm praying, but I doubt they would do something like that. I know the plan is to look at the long term and keep this window open as long as they can. But I think if you really want to add to it, you got to give Bob a co-star to go along with it, and you need someone else who can really swing it in a big ballpark like Kansas City has.
So hypothetically, say you don't get Kyle Tucker, there's another guy in the American League East. His name is swirling around trade rumors. He hasn't been effective as he was last season, but Jaron Duran, Red Sox are moving a lot of people out of Boston. Would you mind having a guy like Jaron Duran on your team?
I would not. Once again, you add another young left-handed bat. Don't have a lot of those in the lineup. I mean, you got Vinny and you've got Cags, but outside of that, Kyle Isbell's probably the next left-handed bat that you're really proud of. And I don't know if half the people watching this know who Kyle Isbell is, even though he's been
Mm.
one of the best defensive center fielders in the league this year.
Yeah,
But I mean, you're just looking for more run production. And I
yeah,
think Iran gives you that. He gives you the ability to steal bags as well. So I wouldn't mind it. My guess is he's going to go to a bigger buyer, someone like San Diego, who's
yeah.
been expressing that they have interest in him for a minute. But like I said, any outfielder who can contribute to our lineup and execute when there are runners in scoring position is welcome to my baseball team in Kansas City.
But speaking of the outfield, I do want to get into some outside of our team's trade proposals. Now, you talked about outfield. I'm not saying this guy's a big bat, but he has been a productive hitter over the past few seasons, except for this season. He's been a little slow. I want to talk about, the Baltimore Orioles, and they've been struggling recently. Recently fired Brandon Hyde, brought in an interim manager, and Orioles have struggled with injuries across the board. You got a guy like Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells out for the season. If anything, they're not expected to come back till late mid to late September. So I want to ask you this: Orioles trade Felix Bautista and Cedric Mullins to the Philadelphia Phillies for a guy. I'm hope you're familiar with this guy, Mick Abel.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, why give up? I feel like Batista is a solid arm. It's someone that
Yeah,
Philly desperately needs, though. I'll tell you this
yeah.
much. They need arms so bad. But
Hmm.
Mullins has been a guy who's been with Baltimore his entire career. It's not someone who I see them moving necessarily off of, but I will say I know Jackson Holliday's been swirling around
Yeah,
trade rumors as of late. But I think the biggest name that's going to go off the board for if you want to add another outfielder to Philadelphia, another great bat as well, Ryan O'Hearn would be tremendous in a trade like that. I think it's just going to take a little bit more than just a prospect from the Phillies.
yeah. Now I do have a mutual friend of the podcast, Justin Ayers, who has had Ryan O'Hearn on his podcast multiple times. And, Ryan O'Hearn wasn't really a guy to be expected to blow up as big as he did this season because, you see, you had Ryan Mountcastle who had a slower end of last season. And, Ryan Mountcastle has been consistent. He's been productive for the Orioles, but, he's kind of. Once O'Hearn was moved off that first base to DH spot, I mean, he's that leading DH in the American League since Rafael Devers got shipped to San Francisco. So I mean, big shout out to Ryan O'Hearn. I know Ryan O'Hearn used to be a Kansas City Royal, and he
Yeah.
was shipped out before he started, nukes everywhere.
Yeah,
So
actually hitting the baseball well. I mean, he has
yeah.
it's just so tough because you
Mhm.
watch a guy who had a really solid rookie season, like something that he should be proud of, hitting 262, nothing crazy. But like to have four consecutive negative WAR seasons, us to ship him off to Baltimore, and then all of a sudden he just becomes this great bat that also was a true outfielder. They moved him to DH. He started hitting a lot better. It's just we just got done talking about what Kansas City needs.
Yeah.
This would be a guy, I mean, he's 31. That's the big
Yeah.
thing people have to realize is are you going to put him back in the outfield or are you going to continue to DH him? Because I think he deserves a spot on somebody's roster where he just DHs. Because I think if he goes back to playing the field, you're throwing a wrench in who he is, how he approaches each day, all that type of stuff. But O'Hearn's going to be a name in a lot of circles because there are not a lot of big bats that could be traded at this deadline
Yeah.
and actually make a difference. And it's a guy without playoff experience or without much playoff experience too. So you have to keep that in mind.
Now I want to bring up another outfield name. Now this isn't a trade proposal, but a guy who's been around the trade rumor wheel, an in-division rival to the Kansas City Royals, Chicago White Sox outfielder Luis Robert Jr. You
Yes.
know, he's not as consistent as he was in 2022, 2023. He did not have a good 2024. Well, the whole White Sox team didn't have a good 2024. That's not saying much. But Luis Robert, what do you think the Royals would have to give up for a guy like Luis Robert?
Oh, geez. I mean, there's so many holes on the White Sox, right? So
Yeah.
you don't know if there if there's really one true answer to this
Yeah.
because I don't really know what the White Sox front office is thinking right now. Where do you take this team from here? They lost the most games in the history of baseball last year. You'd give away Garrett Crochet and you're not playing any better, right? I mean, they're 26 and 55. They've already nearly won more games than they have last year, which is fantastic. It's great because everyone says, the AL Central is just free wins because you play the White Sox all the time, which, yes, they're 30 games under 500. They're still pretty easy wins most of the time. But to answer your question, my guess would be prospects. I mean, they would have to be a team that is seeking out the future. Um, I could have sworn they just brought up a catcher as well who was really
Kyle Teal.
yeah, Kyle Teal. Because I was going to say, we just had a prospect promoted to AAA who's third in our organization, who's really
Hmm.
solid at the catcher spot, Carter Jensen. I actually
Hmm.
played against him in high school.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I was gonna say he could definitely be a piece in a lot of trades because he has taken a large leap from this year to last year. Sat in single A for a while, and then all of a sudden he got paired up with Cags in double A, and both of them started hitting the lights out. So you get two lefties together, two guys who are probably gonna play or who are gonna DH a lot as well. Maybe that might have helped things, but. I don't know. The White Sox have so many holes. It's really hard for me to pick what the Royals would have to move off of in order to acquire a guy like because I mean he's probably the biggest name in the White Sox organization right now
Yeah.
outside of Teal, which like he just came to the majors. So yeah.
I mean, I feel like the White Sox and the Red Sox are very like compatible because they're in a transitional period. Like as a Cardinals fan, I understand this.
Yeah.
We had like all our veterans, Yachty, Albert Pujols, Adam Wainwright, all on the roster around the 22, 23 era, and then they retire. So we have to bring in veteran leadership. And the Red Sox, they just got rid of Devers. They just got rid of their last like big piece from that 2018, 2019 season's
Yeah,
team.
I don't know how much I would compare the White Sox to the Red Sox though. You're
Dude,
talking about 20 games that
yeah,
separate those two teams record wise. But no, I,
yeah,
I think I think Boston I think Boston made a serious mistake shipping off Devers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. He started off the season really slow, and then at the time he got traded 17 homers. So I mean, I'm a big fan of a guy by the name of Braden Montgomery when he played at Texas A&M. I
Okay.
feel like he could be a really big piece for the Boston Red Sox. I believe he's in the Red Sox organization. He got traded from the White Sox, Red Sox. But him over there, and then you got guys like Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, who just got sent down to AAA. So I mean, I can see if anything, Luis Robert, if the Padres don't get Jaron Duran, which Jaron Duran's the
Could
target space. I
could
mean,
be
Luis
could be a
Robert,
second option. Yeah.
yeah. But one more trade proposal. This guy, a big power hitter, not known for fielding. Where do you think Eugenio Suarez goes?
Oh,
Is the biggest third baseman in the trade deadline
I would.
wheel.
I mean, really, who needs third base? I would say that's the big corner infield.
Yeah,
There's a team in New York that might need a corner infielder, right?
yeah,
Jazz
yeah.
playing out of position at third. They've been
Mm,
rotating. I mean, when Cabrera went down as well, trying to think what other legitimate contending teams need corner infield. Not many. Not many, right?
not that I can think of because
Phillies still have Bohm.
boom. I
Mets
mean,
Mets are fine at third. So are the Dodgers. Yeah. No, I think New York would be, I think the Yankees would be a great spot for him.
I mean, Yankees, we're looking at this Diamondbacks team and, injury after injury after injury. And, the Yankees have a bunch of people in that AAA team in that farm system that I believe can be brought up through that Diamondbacks organization. I mean, the Diamondbacks have done very well at bringing guys up because we see Justin Martinez, a relief pitcher for the Diamondbacks, has done fantastic for them this season before he went down with an injury. Unfortunately for Diamondbacks fans, they also lost Corbin Burns. Zach Gallen isn't really doing Zach Gallen things,
Yeah,
and
he got
him and
shot
Merrill,
by the Sox. Jeez.
yeah, yeah, him and Merrill Kelly are like a 2-3 without there's no number one pitcher in Arizona. They're
Yeah.
2-3. They're playing like a 2-3 pitchers for an ace. So I mean, Arizona fans should be definitely worried. Now I kind of want to continue with the All-Star break talk, and we
Okay.
talked about the home run derby. And as a Royals fan, there's guys like Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez. I mean, he's getting towards the end of his career, but he's still hitting homers in this day and age. I mean, I don't really see him in the home run derby, but I mean, as a Royals fan, we saw what he did last time, hitting 28 homers in the last home run
Yeah,
derby. He put,
I think the new system definitely helped them.
yeah,
I'll tell you that much. But
yeah.
yeah, no, is your question gonna be what Royal would I like to see at the home run derby?
What Royal or what participants? Like, name a list of participants.
If I had to name a Royal,
Yeah.
um, I think I'll give the people what they want and put Cags
Hmm.
home run derby. Because here's the thing, kid's batting 200. He hit a ball
Yeah.
that was 5 feet off the ground, 408 feet, that was coming at him at 94 miles an hour. I'd love to see how far he could hit a baseball. I
Hmm.
mean, he hit some in AAA that were what, 470, 480, something
Yeah.
like that. So I would love to see Cags. But like if we were talking if we're talking just people in general, I mean, Cal Raleigh's got to go. I better see Ronald there. Love to
Oh,
see Ronald.
yes.
He's tremendous. I'd love to see Judge. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see Judge. I'd love to see Warber. He's hitting the snot out of the baseball. I was actually just at Citizens Bank last Sunday and watched him hit a ball 403 against the Mets. That was a pretty sweet game to watch. Who else? I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like total package. I mean, Jose Ramirez. I mean, there are names that I could just throw out there. But I'd love to see what kind of show Cal Raleigh would put on. I mean, he is on a different planet right now seeing the baseball.
Yeah.
And
The last,
may-
um,
maybe you see Devers in there
ooh,
in
I
the
mean,
Giants
Devers.
uniform.
Yeah, I mean, Devers hasn't performed in a home run derby yet, to my knowledge. And the last catcher to perform in a home run derby, I believe, was Adley Rutschman a couple years ago. And Cal Raleigh,
Yeah.
I believe this season he's on a different level than Rutschman has been. And Cal Raleigh, I mean, he's on pace to hit. The dude's on pace to hit like 60, 68 home runs this season. He's on pace to
He's a
break the
beast.
home run record.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember Steven, but Steven is another guy on Dinger Dudes as well. And
Oh
he
yeah.
told we had an episode a few weeks ago, and he was talking to me. He asked me if I thought it was crazy if Cal Raleigh was gonna pass Judge for the MVP this season. And I told him it's Aaron Judge, man. I mean, Cal Riley's having fantastic, but looking at it now, Cal Riley could easily win that MVP that season.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing holding him back is going to be average,
Yeah,
right? If Which Judges is dipping. Let's
yeah.
be real here.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge is not a 400 hitter anymore. I say that
Yeah.
he's batting 64, which is demonic.
Mm.
But I mean, I watched this man right here bat 350 until September rolled around.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. It's a little different. I'd say Judge has had not the best month of June, but I
Mhm.
mean, by any standard, that's batting 360 versus 400, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say Judge is having a bad month, but I'll tell you this much. He's got to keep pace. And
Yeah.
I one of the big things too is we're going to have to look at Cal Raleigh's defensive stats because that's the one
Yeah.
argument that I would have given Bob last year
Yeah.
if Witt would have played if he would have hit 350 by the end of the year. He finished the year hitting
Mhm.
33. The last month when Vinny Pasquantino got hurt, he dislocated his thumb. The entire Royals roster started hitting like 100 points down for a month.
Yeah.
If he would have stayed that pace, I would have like Bob would have had my vote, and I think he would have won it over Judge because you look
Mhm.
at Platinum Glove shortstop,
Yeah.
right? Silver Slugger so he's the best hitter at his position. He's also the first shortstop to have a 30, like I think it was a 30 season his first 3 years. And the next closest person was Barry Bonds, and he only did 25-25 for his first 2 years. So that's a whole nother thing. And I know that's a career thing. It's not a season thing, but when you look at MVP and you look at what like juices a team, the Yanks had Soto last year, and
Yeah.
he was third on the MVP ballot. He finished third last year. So I I would have given it to Bob just because that defense and the five tool aspect of it, I think plays a huge factor. And while
Yeah.
Judge is a solid right fielder, he's not a Gold Glove right fielder.
Yeah.
So I think if Cal Raleigh manages to be the best defensive catcher as well in the American League, that's the argument he's going to have against Judge because I don't see a world where Cal Raleigh hits 330. He's hitting 281 right now, but he's got to keep hitting bombs and he's got to play defensively very strong. And if he can get that average to 300, I think that would give him a huge argument. So he's got to do three things, but Judge has really just got to maintain pace. He's got to have another 50 homer season. He's got to hit 350 again. And I mean, he's got 62 RBIs right now. I wouldn't be shocked. Depending on how many home runs Cal Raleigh stays on pace for, you may see another year where Judge leads the American League in RBIs as well.
No, I completely understand. And I completely agree when you have the Cal Raleigh MVP talk. I'm looking currently at the last catcher to win American League or NL MVP, and that was Joe Mauer in 2009. And let me read off some of Joe Mauer's stats when he won MVP. 28 homers, 96 RBIs, a 365 batting average, 587 slugging, a 1031 OPS, and a 444 OBP. So I mean, and he was the best defensive catcher in the league that season. So I mean,
Yep.
Cal Raleigh is currently ranked fourth in defensive runs saved. So I mean, he's putting up really productive numbers at the defensive side of the plate, and offensively, stud, the most offensive, productive catcher that I've seen since I've been paying attention to baseball, outside of maybe like Buster Posey, like because everybody has the Buster Posey Yadier Molina debate, but that's for another day. But Cal Raleigh and Buster Posey comparable, but I think Cal Raleigh does have a shot at the MVP talk this season. Now, I did want to bring up a guy that I would love to see in the home run derby, Mr. Pete Crow Armstrong. I mean, Pete
Oh,
Crow.
PCA. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate to say this as a Cardinals fan, but I love PCA. Right now, tied for seventh in RBIs and home runs. 21 homers, 61 RBIs, and an 872 OPS. Pete Crow Armstrong is a dual hitter. What I mean by dual hitter is he can hit opposite field, he can hit um batting stance field. So I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong is one of the most electric players in all of MLB, and I feel like if you want to watch a home run derby this season, the only reason I don't like the new format for the home run derby is because I kind of miss when there was an NL and AL captain and they used to like select, the hitters in the teams. But
Sure.
you want to choose like what is appealing to an MLB crowd, what is appealing to a home run derby crowd, what they want to see.
Yeah.
And I believe Pete Crow Armstrong and another guy, James Wood. James Wood is fantastic out of Washington Nationals. And the fact that he is ranked seventh or eighth right now in National League outfield voting for All-Star is just because of how unproductive the Washington Nationals are this season. James Wood deserves much more credit than he's given. He deserves his flowers, and James Wood and Pete Crow Armstrong are those guys for me. I would love to see in the home run derby this season. A Cardinal, I mean, maybe Arenado. He hasn't. I don't think he's been in a home run derby, but he's not really productive this season. So I really don't know. I really don't know.
Love to see Goldie a couple years back because I feel like he had some pop to him as well. But I mean, the guy in the National League, I'd love to see Ellie De La Cruz out there as
Oh
well.
yeah. Well, the thing is, Ellie De La Cruz. I feel so. Chase, one of the twins, says that Ellie De La Cruz is the second best shortstop in all of MLB. Do you agree with this take?
I mean, who it depends on who he ranks above him.
Or no, not yeah, second. First is Bobby Witt Jr.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think
oh,
I think there's an argument to be made, but I don't know how quickly you rule out Lindor. So
I mean Jacob Wilson. Jacob Wilson is a
okay, so this is the route we're gonna go. No, no, no.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, Jacob
you're
Wilson.
talking about this season.
Yeah,
Okay,
this season.
there we go. Here's the thing. I'll come flat out and say it. I think Jacob Wilson deserves an All-Star over Bobby Witt Jr. this year, right now,
Okay,
right?
okay,
And once again, this is a guy much like Judge. He's got to keep pace,
yeah,
right? Because you know he's going to come down at some point, right? He still hitting 370? Right. So beginning of the month, he was hitting 372. He's now down to 353. Now he's got 9 homers, already over 100 hits and 40 RBIs.
mhm,
So he's doing what he needs to be doing.
yeah,
But not a lot of people know about him because the name Bobby Witt runs through the league. But
yeah,
when you look at across the board, I'd still put Lindor second because of his glove
hmm,
over Ellie. I think Ellie's a little bit too erratic defensively. But I mean, Jacob Wilson, if he manages to do this for a season or two in the league
yeah,
after this year, he's easily going to be in the argument for the best shortstop in baseball. You just have to look at whether or not this season is going to continue to pan out for him and how Vegas, well, I guess Sacramento for now, but Vegas,
yeah,
maybe Vegas decides to build around this team, right? Because this could also be an organization that is afraid because of how big the shortstop market has gotten over recent memory that his rookie contract's expiring. We're actually going to ship him out for a haul, and he
Yep.
could somewhere completely different, right? I wouldn't be shocked if that's going to be the case with Mason Miller, even though I kind of like what the A's have in a lot of different players. It's
Yep.
just I wouldn't put Jacob Wilson there right now. Right now, I'd give him an all-star.
Hmm.
But uh would I have him the rest of the season over guys like Lindor, Ellie, and Bobby? No, no.
Yeah, nah, I feel like he needs more to prove. He's a rookie. He's having a phenomenal rookie season. He was actually my preseason pick to win AL Rookie of the Year. I was a big fan of him in his very first game, and then he gets injured on the way to home plate. But the thing with this, I guess Sacramento A's team, they like to buy and sell at the deadline. They don't like to do that in free agency. Their biggest spent free agent that they spent on was Luis Severino. They gave Brent Rooker, which they got for a steal, 5 years, $60 million. When Brent Rooker is a guy who's worth 21 million, in my opinion. Brent
At
Rooker
least.
is one of the most underrated players in all of Major League Baseball, and it's because he's on the Athletics. That's why he's not getting the recognition that he necessarily deserves. And Jacob Wilson, I feel like he's a talent to come for years. He's not just great offensively, but he's fantastic defensively. So, Jacob Wilson, right now, I don't think he is. mm, he's top four shortstop for me. I don't think he's above. Well, Bobby Witt is obviously, in my opinion, number one right now. Lindor two. Only reason I have Wilson above Ellie De La Cruz is the strikeouts. Ellie De
Sure.
La, Ellie De La Cruz is not very. I feel like Jacob Wilson has much better plate discipline than Ellie De La Cruz. And that really makes a break or batter. But we have 5 minutes left in this, and I want to do a 2010s Would You Rather. Jackson, just hold on very quick.
Before you do that, I just
Yes.
want to point out one quick thing.
Yeah.
One, Brent Rooker, also a former Royal.
Yeah.
Matt, by the way, imagine a world where you have Brent Rooker, Ryan O'Hearn, and Jack Caglione in the Royals outfield right now. Kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy.
That,
Oh,
that would be that
and
would be insane.
another quick thing too
Yeah.
before we get going on this.
Yeah.
Um, Crazy how in a season where Gunnar Henderson was on the cover a year ago, we haven't even talked about him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Gunnar Henderson started off the season on the IL, and then he hasn't been really productive for that Orioles team. I mean, the Orioles team hasn't been.
No, I know they've been bad. I don't think he deserved to be on the cover. I thought Bob should have been on it.
Yeah.
Let's get to the 2010s.
Hey, we're gonna get to the 2010s, and we're gonna start off with some shortstops. And I know this guy you're probably a big fan of. You're a Royals fan, and just for you, man, I wanted to bring up one guy, Alcides Escobar. Alcides Escobar, and we're gonna put him up against. Let's go. I have this list right here. Let's go with Texas Ranger Elvis Andrews.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yeah, I
Dang.
want to start with.
I mean, you're putting oh, I mean,
This is the random list they gave me.
it's probably Elvis, but
Hmm.
that breaks my heart to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking at, I mean, Elvis did so much more throughout his career, but hey, game one World Series legend Alcides Escobar.
Yeah, I love that 2015 Royals team, especially rest in peace to this guy, Yordano Ventura. And
Rodon
I believe
Ventura.
he could have been a phenomenal talent. I feel like him, Jose Fernandez could have ran the league for years to come. And I've done interviews with previous 2010s players, and two of these guys, Danny Espinosa and Brandon Moss, when I asked them the question who the toughest batter they had to face during their career was, they said Jose Fernandez. And you know, generational talent, unfortunately, gone too soon. Now I want to talk about. Let's go to the outfield, and I want to stick with a Royals guy. Recently inducted Royals Hall of Famer, Mr. Alex Gordon, defensive merchant,
Gordo.
defensive
Oh,
monster.
yeah.
Him Carlos Gonzalez just because I put him on the thumbnail.
Oh,
That is actually really tough.
dude,
That's like neck and
but
neck for
it's
me.
but it's cargo though.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I when you're looking at defense,
yeah.
you're you're going AG. Like there's nobody, you know what?
Mm.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking with my Royal. I don't care. Give me
You're gonna
out.
go Alex Gordon? You're gonna
Give
go
me Alex
Alex
Gordon.
Gordon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna.
I think he will go down as the best defensive like left fielder I'll ever watch in my lifetime. Potentially the
Mm,
best defensive outfielder I'll ever watch in my
yeah.
lifetime.
Eight-time Gold Glover. Just so you know, 8-time Gold Glover. And now I want to bring up this next guy, and just because I want to do a start bench cut for this one because we have 2 minutes left,
Go
and
for
this
it.
is going to be really tough. It's going to be with the National League side. We got Hunter Pence, we got Matt Kemp, and we got Ryan Braun.
Oh my gosh. Let me hear yours.
Okay, so I'm gonna start despite the whole, him on roids thing, him on PEDs. Ryan Braun is one of the most talented outfielders that I saw growing up. And that's saying a lot for a Cardinals fan. We played against him multiple times during the season, so I gotta start Braun. I'm gonna have to bench Kemp just due to his he was phenomenal for the Dodgers and cut Pence. I love Pence. Pence is phenomenal, but
Yeah,
I would have to cut Pence.
I can't sit here and not cut Pence. That's what I think is awful. Like I
Yeah,
love Hunter Pence
yeah.
and watching him play for the Giants organization. I mean, he was part of their dynasty.
Mm,
But I would actually I think I'm going to start Matt Kemp. Um,
hmm
I think there were so many iconic moments from him in the playoffs that I loved watching the Dodgers throughout the 2010s, and that's kind of who I would stick with. They're all like extremely similar in their statistics across the board. But I don't know. My heart is with Matt Kemp on this one.
So you're benching Braun?
Bench and Braun, and we're cutting Pence. Yeah.
Man. But that is all the time we have for the first episode of JD Baseball Show. Jackson, thank you so much for taking time to join. This will be
Thanks
out
for having me, brother.
around 7:30, and we will see y'all next time.